in online gaming, I was with Junglee Games and then I was with MPL. So I was dealing with two games in particular, Rummy and Poker. So
Okay.
Rummy and Poker again have a very different set of audiences. Rummy is a very mass audience because you've got some 15 million people in the country playing Rummy, right?
The decision
And
makers are different, and the consumers,
the
the
decision makers are different.
similar.
Yeah, yeah. And so your essentially your go-to market has to be what appeals to the parent, to the customer, and the product has to be something that appeals to the student. Been my learning across these industries and all of this is one very basic thing, which is know your audience. I think know your customer. That is something that holds very high importance in my opinion. And
Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Icons Behind Brands. I'm your host Devleena Neogi, and today we embark on a journey of insights and inspiration with our guest, none other than Mr. Suheil Mohan, who is the head of brand marketing at Ninjacart. Suhail's journey is a tapestry woven with experience and innovation, spanning the realm of online education with BYJU'S, the excitement of gaming with Mobile Premier League MPL, and the dynamic world of Junglee Games. With over 7 years of expertise, he is a maestro at merging creativity with data insights. Let's deep dive into the mind of a true industry titan. Only here on Icons Behind Brand. A warm welcome to you here on Icons Behind Brand, Suhail.
thank you, Devlina. Thanks for the great introduction. I think you put it in great words. Thank you so much.
If you help us understanding your professional journey to our viewers, I think that will really build today's context for the conversation.
So I did my mechanical engineering from Manipal Institute of Technology in Karnataka. During my engineering is when I realized that I love engineering, but I'm not good at it. And I really
Oh.
tried very hard to be good at it, but I wasn't. But I loved engineering. So after completing education, I thought that let's probably get into work life and see how that pans out. So I worked for about 1.5 years. I was with Wipro initially, where I was working for Maruti and Nissan cars with Wipro, where I was handling stress analysis on various automobile parts for all the
Okay.
cars they used to launch.
Okay.
And post that, I moved on to a factory setup, which was a subsidiary of Hero, which essentially it was called Hero Majestic Auto, wherein they used to make rotors and motors for LG fridges and washing
Okay.
machines.
Okay.
So I was a production engineer there, and again I realized the same thing while working also, that yeah, I love it, but I'm not good at it.
Oh.
So, but then I got a small stint in that factory itself, which was very specific towards brand building.
Mhm.
It was more on the creative side, and that's when I realized, and my manager that time said, "Hey, why don't you try this as a field, right? Because you seem to have a knack for it." So
Mhm.
that's when I decided to go ahead for my MBA, and my MBA from Symbiosis Pune, and I specifically chose uh, brand and media as the specializations over there.
Okay.
And from then it's been through and through that. Now finally I'm at a place where I love what I do, and I'm hoping I'm also good at what I do.
You feel
So
home finally.
finally, yeah, this is where I want to be. So
Superb. Superb. I think, once you reach, where you feel you don't have to put any effort, that's when you find that this is your calling and this is something which comes so natural to you. You don't have to put much effort on this. From your experience, transitioning from the online gaming industry, right? That's a very different
mm,
domain altogether to education industry and now at tech industry
yeah.
experience. So a diverse career journey. Can you share some key lessons you have learned over the period of time along the way that have helped shaping your approach towards brands and marketing and in each and every
Mm.
sector?
In online gaming, I was with Junglee Games and then I was with MPL. So I was dealing with two games in particular, Rummy and Poker. So
Okay.
Rummy and Poker again have a very different set of audiences. Rummy is a very mass audience because you've got some 15 million people in the country playing Rummy. and poker is a very niche audience because you have only about, let's say, a lakh or 2 lakh people playing poker.
Okay. Okay.
uh, then I moved on to edtech. Again, edtech is a it was a in Baiju, it was a purely B2C play again. And so over there also, you're very interesting because your consumer is the student in K10 and your customer is the parent. So it's a classic case wherein there's a difference in the customer and the consumer. So
Yeah.
so you have to cater to both, right?
The decision
And
makers are different, and the consumers,
the
the
decision makers are different.
maker.
Yeah, yeah. And so your essentially your go-to market has to be what appeals to the parent, to the customer, and the product has to be something that appeals to the student, because
Oh,
that is
yeah.
what will determine retention and repeat rate for you as
Mm.
a company, right? So it's a very interesting dynamic over there. And now it's agri-tech. Agri-tech is a very again a very different customer base. It starts
Okay.
from, so at Ninjacart we deal with right from farmers to source traders to destination traders and retailers. So it's
Okay.
an entire farm to fork journey that we are catering to.
Okay.
So again, a very different customer base.
Okay.
I think what's been my learning across these industries and all of this is one very basic thing, which is know your audience. I think know your customer. uh, that is something that holds very high importance in my opinion. And when I say know your audience, it's actually knowing them in depth, right? It's knowing them, understanding what are the need gaps that they face currently, what are the delight aspects to them, right? So there are a lot of times when, as a product or service, you don't see a significant need gap that you're trying to fulfill, but yes, you can offer a delight that will eventually make the customer happy and come to you. So I've always, whichever industry I've gone to, whichever company I've gone to, I've always started with making a persona first. And making the persona starts for me with, what does the guy do when he wakes up? He
Okay.
will wake up, he'll brush his teeth, have tea. I want to know what he does. I want to know he has tea or coffee. I want to know everything about the customer, right? So for me, knowing the customer starts with that. Knowing the customer starts with, when he's traveling to work, what does he do? Does he just drive his car, or he listens to radio? If he listens to radio, what is the content? What are the channels he's listening to? So for me, it's that in depth where I want to know what is my audience doing every half an hour, literally in the day. And that is how I try to break down the journey. And from there, I think once you nail that down, right, 50% of your job is done.
Right.
So and I think the second most important thing that I've learned while working across is, it's important to understand that the industry you are coming into. Now, what I mean by that is, so you need to understand the product or service that you're providing is something wherein you're creating a category itself. So that is something that we're trying to do in Ninja Card, where you're trying to create something new for a customer base, or is it something that already exists in the industry and you're trying to break through it? The strategies in both cases differ drastically. If you're trying to bring in something new, if you're trying to bring in something new to the industry, then you directly cannot start with a customer acquisition first approach. It has
Mm-hmm.
to start from educating your customer to engaging your customer, and then moving on to probably some bit of acquisition, and then moving on to organic growth, and again moving on to acquisition. It's a very different journey that you follow in that case. Whereas if you're trying to break through an industry which is already existing, which was something that we did in MPL, because MPL was known for fantasy sports, right? And then MPL wanted to bring up rummy and poker, and they were all there. So rummy and poker have been around since 2008 in our country. uh, so so MPL wanted to get into the rummy and poker space also. So there the strategy becomes entirely different because you are a new entrant suddenly in the category. So there you have to probably understand how you can break through the competition. What is that additional USP that you can provide to your audience that will make them migrate from one platform to another? What is that, if there is a pain point that is already being solved by the industry, like I said, is there a delight that you can give them that will make them come to you? And then the product experience retains them through it on the. So our job was to listen to what customers are saying on social media on a daily basis.
Okay. Okay.
And across, right, in the telecom industry, that time I'm talking about 2017, and that time 2017-18, that time Airtel, Vodafone, Idea and Jio were there.
Mm-hmm.
And on a daily basis we used to get some 40,000 odd conversations raw customer conversations online, and these are all across Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, and Geo. And and like you mentioned, that is not a one day job, right? So
Yeah.
when we started analyzing data, we started pulling out data where we analyzed data for the last, let's say, 6 months, 7 months, what customers were saying, and then eventually a trend emerged. One of the trends that came up was that people, though they have broadband on a monthly basis, they are taking a plan, but they want the data that is left to move on to the next month also, because the data is getting wasted for them. So that fueled an insight for Airtel for the broadband data rollover campaign.
Oh,
It was something that the brand team was already working at Airtel, but I think it just made it more. It made more certain for them that this is
okay.
something that can be picked up, because it is an insight that again came up from raw customer conversations. So
So, Suhail, here, with experience which where spanning multiple industry, you have worked in so many different industries. So, what trends and evolution you have observed in the consumer behavior, over the period of time, and the marketing strategies that have significantly impacted your approach to the brand marketing of that?
now we've reached at a stage where you've started creating a lot of content from your customers themselves, right? So
Okay.
there are a lot of challenges, social media challenges that you give to people. There is a lot of user generated content that gets created. So now I think the content game has changed in a way wherein you as a brand are not solely responsible for just creating content. You have the power to motivate your audience to create content for you.
Hmm.
And uh, and it's even moved to the extent of different brands in the same industry collaborating together
Yeah.
and doing a, let's say, doing a social media banter, right?
Uh-huh.
uh, it's very something very unlikely which you would have seen a few years back, wherein you would think, wow, there's let's say, a Pepsi and a Coke doing a banter. There is a Zomato and a Swiggy doing a banter on social
Swiggy.
media.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think these are certain trends that have started picking up lately. This is one I can think of. One major thing I can think of, how content formats have evolved over a period of time. So a few years back, it was all about brand storytelling. It was all about creating those huge brand films, where you would keep your audience engaged. There used to be nice music. There used to be nice lyrics. Then I clearly remember one of my favorite ads was Piyush Pandey's Fevicol ad, wherein
Oh,
he showed how a sofa was made initially, and then it moved on to a modern household over years, and it stayed intact because of Fevicol. And it's not just the concept itself. If you listen to that ad, right, the entire script, the entire music, the way it's been narrated is just beautiful. And you remember those campaigns wherein you had, let's say, Hudi Baba with
yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, all of that you had. So that was what was content a few years back, or brand films a few years back. Now it's moved on to a shorter format. Attention spans have reduced
Yeah.
with our audiences, and now from making 1.5 brand films, we've come down to making a 20-30 second ad film. um, the third very interesting piece that I've recently started harnessing a lot in my marketing campaigns is WhatsApp as a medium.
Okay.
um, Earlier, we were very much restricted in terms of, not restricted, I would say. We used to look at ATL. We started with Facebook, Google. We started with all of advertising. Now, and then obviously there were push notifications that you had on the apps. But now I think there is WhatsApp that has suddenly come into the picture, and WhatsApp has been a very effective medium to educate and engage with your audience. It's all about now user cohorting. I think that's the next step. Currently, what is happening is you start getting a lot of irrelevant messages also from
Yeah.
brands that are not relevant to your life. So I
Yeah.
think the other piece now that will happen is, I think it's very important that you cohort your users correctly and send relevant messages to them, and don't be too intrusive.
Oh, yeah.
So
I want to understand here. At MPL, you worked on campaigns which are like, targeting specific regions in India for games like Rummy and poker, right? So, can you elaborate on the strategies you employed to effectively target these regional markets and to drive the engagements?
the good thing about regional marketing is that is the best bang for your buck. You don't spend much, or it's the floor is open to you. You can spend as much as you want, but
Okay.
essentially you will. is compared to a national campaign, right? Regional
Uh-huh.
campaigns typically give you more bang for your buck. So in terms of strategies, right, we started off by identifying which
Okay.
states in India have the most search terms related to Rummy. That is
Okay.
how we started.
Okay.
Then we tried to figure out, okay, that let's say there is Gujarat, there is Maharashtra, there is Tamil Nadu, from where most searches are coming from for Rummy. But which are the states driving the maximum GMV for Rummy as a category? So then
Okay.
we were effectively able to see which state is bringing more new users and which state is bringing, let's say, more evolved kind of
Okay.
user base, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and then we try to identify that where do we stand as a brand in all of these states, right? There were certain states wherein we realized that we were present, and over there the strategy was different. Over there it was all about retaining the existing user base, increasing the lifetime value of the customers that you have on your base, and also cross-selling different offerings, right?
Okay.
Whereas in markets where we realized that MPL Rummy was not present at all, there again the process was very different, where you had to create awareness about Rummy as a brand and then move on to acquiring people over there. Now, um, we also did a qualitative brand track in all of these top 4 5 regions. Once we identified them basis the search terms, basis the GMV that those regions are driving, we commissioned a qualitative brand track also. And there we realized what is the perception of customers for Rummy as a category and for MPL Rummy specifically.
Okay.
Uh, and I think once we had all of that data in place, again the strategies differed for markets where we were present versus the regional strategies versus the markets where we had to grow. So now let's say for markets that we were present, like I mentioned, our objective was to retain our customers, increase the spending that they do on the platform, and also bring them to other products in the MPL ecosystem. So there, one of the interesting things that we started doing over there was we were not restricted by digital as a medium,
Mhm.
and we started doing some on ground events
Okay.
where because these are very region specific markets, right? And and one more thing that we did, we were not very we didn't want just our customers to associate with us. We wanted their families to be a part of it,
Oh,
because Rummy as a
like
category was solving
tension.
a very different, yeah, and because Rummy as a category was solving a very different problem altogether. We were
Yeah.
trying to Rummy as a category. I think it's still battling with a taboo that Rummy is not a game that you play. You play. It's something that the family doesn't support of.
Okay.
So that's what we realized, that if we start involving family members also in this.
Mm.
So for example, in Ahmedabad we did one of the things wherein we called our sorry, in Bangalore, wherein we called the top 10 15 Rummy players, and we called their families also. And there was an event that we did on that,
Uh-huh.
right? So and that what that did was that over a period of time we noticed that all of these players that we had started engaging with, all of them, the the spending of those players on a platform increased. The GMV that we were getting per
Okay.
user from that area started increasing for these people.
Okay.
uh, Now the strategy was very different for a market where we had to grow, where we were not present.
Yeah.
There we focused more on building out regional content. So we started with, let's say, again, like I said, right, Rummy was as a category needs a lot of trust. So we started with building regional testimonials.
Mm.
A lot of times brands probably stop at building regional testimonials or regional brand films, regional content, but we even went to the extent of creating regional product videos. We even went to the extent of creating regional content on Rummy specifically, on various ways how you could, win at a hand of Rummy. So our strategy evolved from that. Then when I remember when I was in Junglee Games, there we tied up with two people in Gujarat, which was like Malhar Thakur and Arohi Patel, and
Oh.
these two are like your Shah Rukh and Kajol of Gujarati cinema.
Oh.
So then and you know the cost at which you get these celebrities, they're very big in their specific regions, right?
Yeah.
But they're very cost effective also. So the kind of returns we got in terms of tying up with these celebrities and creating performance and reach and frequency ads is something that really helped us. Um, yeah, I think by and large, this was, and then we also moved on to partnering with a lot of regional content creators.
Okay.
Uh, so I remember there was one app called a Gujarati music app called Jalso that
Yes.
we had
So.
tied up with.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had banners over there on that app. So I think so in terms of regional, right? You don't need, as a brand, you don't need to be just restricted on creating regional content. It can move on to doing regional events. It can also move on to doing regional partnerships.
So, as a head of brand marketing in Ninjacart, how do you collaborate with other departments within the organization, such as technology, operations, to ensure that the alignment and the cohesion in delivering is unified with the brand experience?
Product department is equipped at rolling out quality products, which will help grow the business.
Mhm.
The business department is focused on getting revenue. The customer experience department is focused at resolving queries and keeping that relationship management ongoing with your customers. Uh, but there is one common thing that ties all of this, which is your customer. So, and that is where the brand marketing department comes in, wherein
Okay.
the marketing department tells you that, hey, you're building a product, you're bringing in revenue, you are answering customer queries, but this is your guy, this is your customer. Uh, so so I think, so brand marketing as a department has a very pivotal role to play
Mhm.
in terms of forming strategies for all these departments also. Um, now um, one I think one of the very interesting things that happened in Ninja recently was the rebranding that we did, right?
Okay.
And we've changed our logo, we've changed our tagline, we've changed our mission, vision, and values that we stand for as an organization. Now the tagline, so now we currently stand for bettering lives for all the agri citizens in the
Okay.
country, right?
Okay.
uh, Now when I did that rebranding exercise in Ninja Card, we had everyone from the leadership to the executive level who was involved in it with us. And that is when now the entire organization believes in this thought process of that we will better lives for all the agri citizens in the country,
Mhm.
right? I think one of the ways as a brand marketing department, right, that by which you can essentially effectively collaborate with all the other departments in your company and ensure that they are on the same page is, if you keep them engaged in any brand campaign that you're going to roll out. Uh, because because typically if you work in silos, right, if you don't bring those people on board, they will not know what the brand is doing.
Amazing. So, with this, we are now moving towards a section called rapid fire round, Suhail. And this is one
Okay.
of my favorite section of the whole conversation where, our viewers get a chance to understand you as a person a little more, not too formal, not too, professional. It is, very much about you. So, Suhail, let us know, like, what has been your favorite age so far?
Favorite age,
Yeah.
engineering. Engineering days, my graduation days was my favorite age.
And what is your favorite work memory? It is not going to be in one word, I'm sure. So as
Yeah.
minimum word as possible.
So when I was in Group M, we did an offsite to Sri Lanka. I think
Okay.
that's been my favorite work
Wow.
memory so far. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So what has changed the most since you have started working here?
Uh, the role has evolved, just from being from a brand marketing perspective. I've also moved on to growth. So for me, that has changed. It's been a combination of both now.
What is, what message would you like to give an employee on their first day of work?
Enjoy the lunch, enjoy the free food. Probably
Lovely.
one of the few days where you get something for free from your
Yeah,
company.
yeah.
Enjoy the free food.
And after few days, you'll not be able to realize that this is free because there will be a lot of priorities coming your way to talk. So at least this time
Exactly.
enjoy the things.
That is why they feed you. So
True. So if you could not work in this industry, what profession would you pursue, Suhel?
like I said, I loved engineering. So I would have wanted to become a great vehicle dynamics engineer, if not marketing.
And when are you most productive?
It's either early morning or late night.
And what advice would you like to give your younger self?
Don't take yourself too seriously. Everything eventually works out. Yeah.
And with this, Suhel, we are out of the rapid fire round. And before we wind up this conversation, I want you to talk for our viewers. A lot of them are aspiring to become a marketing professional. So, what is your
Mm.
message for any aspiring marketing professional?
So I would say go back to the basics always, right?
Okay.
Wherever you are, if you're starting at an assistant manager level, moving on to a manager or a team lead, wherever you are, right, whichever stage of your journey you are in marketing, always start with the basics, never let go of the basic, which is knowing who your audience is. And that means not just relying on data, but personally going and talking to them, and talk to them on a daily basis, actually a daily basis. I'm not even kidding, it's not even weekly. If you can just talk to two customers on a daily basis, that will do the job for you. And again, always see what the data is telling you.
Thank you for being here, Suhail. I think we had an amazing conversation, fun conversation, along with that, lot of insights of different industries, we have touched upon. Yeah, yeah,
This was great. Yeah.
super.
आई एम श्योर कि आपको ये वीडियो बहुत ही इंसाइटफुल एंड इन्फॉर्मेटिव लगा होगा. लेट अस नो इन द कमेंट सेक्शन विच पार्ट ऑफ द वीडियो यू लव द मोस्ट. हम ऐसे ही इंडिया के टॉप बिजनेस ब्रांड सीक्रेट्स आपके पास लाते रहते हैं. प्लीज डू नॉट फॉरगेट टू सब्सक्राइब आवर चैनल आइकन्स बिहाइंड ब्रांड्स. एंड दैट्स ऑल फॉर टुडे. आई एम देवलीना नियोगी signing off until next time.